Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Two Bald Guys with Glasses. I'm Hanale.
And I'm James.
Hey James, it's been a while since we had an opportunity to film an episode back in the studio, but I'm thankful for this conversation we're going to have today.
Yeah, it's good to be back, definitely. And today we're gonna talk about cultural beliefs and then spiritual beliefs. And which one do you listen to? Do you listen to your spiritual beliefs or your cultural beliefs?
Yeah.
Or it just doesn't matter. But we're gonna dig deep, right?
Yeah. Us, having different cultures. I'm Hawaiian, you're Filipino, right? And there's certain cultural things that impact our Christian beliefs and like how do those, coincide, conflict and all that kind of stuff. But we have an amazing guest that we're going to be able to talk to that is going to just bring some amazing insight and, try to bring some clarity to how we approach these type of things.
So, I like that word. Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Let's
so am
do
I.
this.
All right. Hey, everybody, stay tuned. We're going to have a great episode.
Hey guys, welcome back to Two Bald Guys with Glasses. As you can see, we have a special guest here. And special guest, introduce yourself.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Marcus Liufau-Wright. I was born and raised in the beautiful islands of Hawaii, especially Oahu. I'm from Kalihi, Honolulu. I'm married to a beautiful wife with 2 kids. And I just strive every day to be a God-fearing man. That's it.
Yeah, nice. How long have you been in Vegas?
Been here for 4 years now. 4 years, yeah. This month been 4 years. Yeah, I moved here February of 2022. So
You're a local.
kind of. Yeah. I don't know what Las Vegas Night Islander, I guess. Yes.
Yeah. So how was it growing up, like culturally? I know you said you're from Hawaii.
Yes.
What is your background? Are you Polynesian or Hawaiian, Portuguese, Samoan?
Yeah. No, I'm Samoan mixed with different other cultures, but I just say I'm Samoan. I grew up. I'd say mostly Samoan, but they're not in like the traditional sense. I'd say my wife grew up more so as they call it, the Fa Samoa way. I just grew up a regular islander American.
Americanized one.
Yeah, American islander. That was more so the culture I grew up in, more so than the traditional Samoan way. So,
Okay. So your spiritual background, how long have you been saved?
I've been saved. This is like my 3rd time back to Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
my 3rd time back to
Yeah.
Jesus. But I do remember the first time I got saved was, I think I was in 8th grade I was in 8th grade. That's when I actually, at least I can remember devoting myself and actually saying like the sinner's prayer.
Good.
Devoting myself to Christ was like 8th grade. And then again after it was like 25. And then again at 30. So,
I want to dig into that.
Yeah, I think we should. I think this is
What
how...
do you mean by 3rd time?
Oh, jeez.
So you got saved.
Yes.
Then you left. Okay. And then you came back and got resaved.
Yes, got resaved.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say. The first time, like being a teenager, I think it's just I was part of a small Samoan church in Anchorage, Alaska. Actually.
Wow.
Yeah, That's where
You
I got
lived in
saved.
Alaska?
Yes, just for 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. But then that's where I got saved. There was a church called Body of Christ. It was a small Samoan church, probably like 20, 30 people, if that. It was just all family, basically. But I used to live with the pastors there. And my time there, that's when I got saved in 8th grade. And then, as a teenager, you just kind of veer away from God. Like, I believed in them, and my mom was God-fearing woman, but I just kind of, like some Christians today, like they say they go to church and say they believe, but I wasn't actually practicing my faith. Yeah, so I was just kind of in the world still. And then fast forward, I got out of the military. I hit a lot of bumps in the roads. A lot happened since then. But then, honestly, one moment that brought me back to Christ was my wife and I were about to divorce. That kind of helped me get back into the church because I didn't want to. And so, and from that, I attended it was at the Rock Church San Diego. I did a pastoral program there So they had like this pastoral team that would just help out the pastors. It was a great program. But then through that, after that, I became agnostic. I didn't believe in Jesus. At least I challenged. At least I didn't want to believe in God, essentially. And I moved to Seattle for those almost 4 years I was there. Didn't really go to church. Kind of was like in this limbo. Then I moved to Las Vegas, and going to New Hope was my coming back to Christ. So
Good.
yeah, that was
Wow.
in a nutshell all of
Yeah.
the times the 2 times I came back to Christ.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the reason why you're here for this episode is cultural beliefs, because you've been to many different types of spiritual and cultural beliefs,
Yes.
right? So it's good that you're going to share your heart today.
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Yeah, no, I think it's just a testament to God's ability to restore all things, right? And I think there's a lot of people who can relate to your story. It's like, hey, we step away, whether intentionally or not, but God is a God of restoration, and it's just a testament to his restorative power in all our lives, in all things,
Yes.
right? And so you come back and yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about that too, and
Yeah.
how your Samoan culture, right? I'm Hawaiian, right? And there's certain cultural traditions and beliefs that affect, and that
Yes.
I think about as like as a Christian, I was like, culturally I get it,
Yeah.
but as a Christian now, I was like, man, that doesn't really align. And how do we balance that, right? Because I want to honor my traditions. I want to honor my culture and stuff. And I'm thankful because you're just going to bring some clarity to that, bring some insight to that. So I'm ready for this full conversation.
I'm ready.
All right,
Let's
here we
go.
go. Okay, Marcus, I'm going to start this off, and I got a question for you. Do you think most people separate culture and spirituality?
Let's say no.
Okay.
Actually, I think it's hard. It's actually hard to separate the two because the culture that you're brought in almost defines your spirituality in a sense. I remember I did a study. There was a study I read when I was in college that most people that grew up in whatever religion that you call it, the reason why they stuck with it was because they were born in it. Yeah. So most people didn't leave their faith of origin. They just simply followed that path. And I think it's the same way with at least Christianity. If you grew up Christian, it's kind of hard to kind of at least separate your cultural beliefs versus your own spiritual. But I do think it's possible, but it's very hard to do. So,
How do you navigate that then? How have you been doing that?
I think since I grew up Samoan American, and then I knew the Fa Samoa way, which is the traditional Samoan way. I was always the outsider looking in. I guess I've always been, at least I would say, I'll count myself as the outsider almost in that instance, because I don't know the language. I don't know how to dance. I don't know any of these Samoan things. But being outside of it, and at least as a spectator from outside in as an American, because I think I would align myself more American culture than Samoan culture. But at least being outside, going back to how I navigated it, I guess, was being the outsider and I guess just taking that perspective, honestly. I think that's it. Just I've always been wanting to go against the grain of like even my own culture. So like, I've always challenged I don't know, almost every belief that I had. So I think that's how I've always kind of been growing up. So, yeah, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I think I'm different though. Like I grew up Catholic, but Catholic, what you said about it's not easy, or it's not hard to not separate it. So growing up as Catholic and being able to have a religious life, it was easy because you grew up in that church. Not only the church, but that church is actually in our household. Like we had to pray at a certain time, or certain things where. Okay, in the Filipino culture, they have a lot of idols. Catholics have a lot of idols, like Mary. You gotta pray to Mary. Not knocking any of that, but for me, when I got saved, like it was hard for me to separate what I learned culturally because the culture was religious. And then when I got saved in going into Christianity, like it was hard for me to differentiate the two, only because I grew up that way. And then, as the years went by, being a veteran Christian, now you can look back and be like, hey, everything that I learned is not what it's supposed to be biblically. So I am learning culture to move culture to the side and like kind of more focus on my spiritual life. But for me, it was pretty hard,
Yeah, because I think we take a biblical worldview, right? And now we take, our culture, our past, and we look it through that lens now. And then we see there's like, there's some discrepancies there that shouldn't be there. But at the same notion, we want to honor our culture, our family, where they've came from and all those type of things. Me being Hawaiian too is the same thing. Hawaiian grandma, believed in different things, that they have different gods, obviously Hawaiian culture. And now how does that play into my belief? It's like, okay, Pele, I'll just say it. Pele, god of fire, right? Like, am I down on Kilauea on my knees praying to Pele? No. But the traditions and the culture that comes from the Hawaiian people and what they believed in, what role she played, right, and then just in the entire Hawaiian culture through hula and dance, is like, man, I want to honor that because I love hula, I love the dance, but when they're dancing to a deity that I was like, you know what I mean? And so how do we separate those? And I think there's a lot of people, and it's like, I don't want to disrespect my Hawaiian culture. I still want to honor it. I love it. There's so many different things, but now, as we mature, now we got to take a biblical worldview, right? And when we look at those things, and it's tough. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'm not down on Kilauea Mountain praying to Pele, but you know what I mean? I can be in awe of all of that kind of stuff too, but not have that same reverence, I think. Yeah. Right? And
Makes sense.
That I show God, so.
Okay, so like I was saying, some cultural beliefs that we also have is being able to have so much respect for the elders. Like, you cannot do nothing bad to them. You can't talk bad to them. Those are the things that I grew up with. And another thing is like having, in my culture, in a Filipino household, the woman actually wears the pants in the family. And you're smiling because it's weird, because that's not how we currently believe, right? That's not what the Bible says. But those are the things that I grew up with, right? Anywhere from food and all kinds of stuff. So for my question to you is, how do cultural beliefs typically get passed down through generations?
I think similar to how we're doing it now, most cultures just gather around like this, whether it be like a bonfire. I was just thinking about at least early humans. They just gather around like a campfire or something like that. Yeah. And then they simply just talk about something that happened. Or even like in American culture, we celebrate holidays. Like Independence Day, that was like a cultural event that happened because they signed the Declaration of Independence, and 4th of July is the reason why we celebrate our independence. But I think cultural beliefs are passed on to just whatever is happening with that, whatever specific culture you have, just a specific event that happens within that culture, that they cherish, and then they take that and just celebrate it in a sense. I think that's how most traditions are built from cultures. Yeah.
Do you think that parents play a pretty big role?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely does. Because even my own culture, as I said, like my mom, my grandparents were like very traditional Samoa, but then my mom is second generation American and my dad is first generation. But then I didn't really grow up with my dad's side, so I didn't really at least experience that end. But then my mom was more so, she was at least the more American cultured Samoan. So I was brought up in that way, in that manner. So she didn't really speak to us in Samoan or anything like that. So they definitely play a huge difference, because when I look at my wife's family, her and all her siblings, know how to speak the language. They dance. They know all of these like traditional Samoan things, whereas I didn't because I kind of grew up American. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of them call me whitewashed.
Like you're the outsider.
Yeah, like they call me whitewashed.
Yeah.
So, so that's why, at least going back to that first question too, is that I think that's why I've always felt like the outsider because I grew up that way. I was never truly Samoan, but I was never really American. So I was just kind of like stuck in between both. So, yeah.
I know what you're talking about because I'm Filipino, but I grew up in San Francisco. But whenever I'm at home growing up, I was never allowed to talk or speak English. So English is my first language and Tagalog is my second language. So I couldn't speak anywhere around the house or I'll get, sasa and stuff like that. But that was a time where, okay, so now I gotta learn my culture, right? But at the same time, being Americanized also, it was hard to kind of differentiate because I'm already used to growing up one way.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, my mind is already growing, but then I now have to introduce something brand new, new culture, right?
Yeah. I was the same way too. Like there were certain things that you could and could not do.
Yeah.
Right. And then how does that, when you're a teenager, it doesn't really affect you because you're a teenager, right? Your influence, your environment is a lot smaller than it is now. But then how do we take that as we grow up? Now we're grown. And does it play the same part, in our relationship with Christ? And I think it actually helps enhance some of the things because I'm so thankful for the culture and the things that I was raised with, right? And what it shows me is that God is a God that has so much facets, and he's a God of diversity where he can just bring all these things together for him. You know what I mean? And that's just like, that's why people was like, man, why are we arguing? We have so many different beliefs, but God is the one that brings them all together, right? Many parts, one body, same thing, same concept. And it just really just gives encouragement to knowing that no matter how different certain things can be, that God is the one that can bring it all back together for him, But yeah, I used to get slapped too.
Yeah.
With the switch. You used to get slapped probably
Yeah,
too.
no,
Like
definitely.
the bigger the stick, and you probably had to go pick it out.
Yeah.
Then just to go grab one. I was like,
Oh, I had a belt
yeah.
and a slipper.
You know what I had too? Was a piece of molding, crown molding that they cut about that big.
Piece of wood?
Yeah, it's a piece of wood, and they put it on top of like the door frame, and then so you just reach up for that. I was like, yeah,
Oh, man. Yeah. Well,
part of culture. Go
Yeah.
ahead. And never block it, right? Because the second time it's gonna hurt more.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it was whatever they could reach. Whatever was a arm's
Anything that's
length.
arm's length. Yeah. You better learn to duck.
Yeah, just arm's length.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
All right, so Marcus, we've kind of dug a little bit on the cultural beliefs, so I want to press into the spiritual beliefs now. So we all know that we have spiritual beliefs, right? We go to church, we read the Bible. We have spiritual beliefs, no matter what religion you are or whatever denomination you are, or non-denomination, we all have spiritual beliefs, right? So my question to you is, do you think people are more likely to question cultural beliefs or spiritual beliefs? And why? Like, are they going to point fingers at the cultural beliefs and say that's wrong? Or are they going to point more fingers on the spiritual beliefs and say, hey, I don't believe that, that's wrong? Why?
Yeah. I think I can speak at least for myself, but I'd say most, at least millennials and younger Gen Zers, and all, I think they are more inclined to not believe in their spiritual. Yeah, I think it's hard. It's easier to question spiritual beliefs than it is physical ones. At least when I was going through my second phase of being saved after being agnostic, that was one of the ways I was. At least that was one of the beliefs that I held, was that like I couldn't really see God. You know what I mean? At least or like physically see him. I knew he was there, but it's just, I didn't want to believe in him just because my mom told me so. You know what I mean? I wanted to find out if God was real to me. And he's done things for me beforehand, but it's just, to me, I guess I didn't see enough evidence in my own life. It wasn't enough, at least for me. Yeah, it wasn't enough. But then that's the thing about having faith. In hindsight, when coming back to Christ, one thing he taught me through that whole experience was that because since I was so like just focused, because that's when I was like going to college and I was just learning all these different cultures, and I was learning like what atheism is, and those things appealed to me because I've never heard them before. It was like the grass was greener on the other side for me, and I was like, man, how come these guys live? At least online, I was focusing mainly on the big atheist people, but they seem to be living good lives even though they didn't believe in God. You know what I mean? And so, at least in my brain, I didn't understand how someone that didn't believe in God still could live prosperous. You know what I mean? So, that kind of led me down that path. And coming back to Christ has taught me that my knowledge outgrew my faith. You know what I mean? That I let my knowledge outgrow my faith.
No, I think that's an honest answer, right? Like when we do not, I'm not saying it's a comparison, but we, like you said, he's like, man, look at that guy or lady or whatever, and look at the faith that she has. And I was like, yeah, it's like, that's pretty cool, but I'm not even anywhere near that. And that kind of stuff, you know? So yeah, I know what you're saying about that. It's just like, it is like, I think it's okay that, you know, sometimes we try to deconstruct, right? Certain things, certain beliefs, certain scriptures or whatever, right? Certain things that we believe, but I think it's also important that we don't destroy, right? Amen. It's okay to deconstruct, because I think people at a certain age, it's like this. If you want to renovate your house, like, oh, I want to renovate my bathroom, you don't tear down the whole house. Right, you go and destroy and you go and renovate the bathroom, and you do it parts at a time.
Right, that's
not smart. But there's a generation out there who wants to just like, I want to renovate my bathroom, so I'm just going to destroy the whole house. That makes no sense. And I think people take their faith and they just want to go, I want to deconstruct, but I want to destroy it all. I was like, my friend, I think that's a dangerous approach to take when you do it. But you also brought up a good point about this younger generation, like they're more worried about, like, they're more easily to dismiss spiritual beliefs than cultural beliefs because of the generation. Like right now, how the world has attacked spirituality, religion in general over cultural, because then cultural is like, you can't touch that. Like cultural, bad, you know? But spirituality or beliefs, Christianity, whatever, is like, that's fair game.
But there is a good handful of alphas and millennials who are hungry for the truth. You know, the young adult age right now, I think from what I see, they're the most hungriest group of people that we've had in the past.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the old, remember in the 80s where all the revivals were happening? Yeah. I think there's a group of people that have that same mentality and that same hunger back in the 80s now. Now, is it a big group? Probably not. But at least there's a group that can show forth like what they believe in.